Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle the When Can I Study Java assignment. We're going to walk through every single part of it from the logic all the way to the GitHub submission just to make sure everything's perfectly clear. So let's just dive right in.
When you get right down to it, this whole assignment is about a question we ask ourselves all the time, right? We study best when it's quiet, when we've got energy, and at times that makes sense. And that's really what this is all about, taking that human decision process and translating it into pure logical code.
Okay, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off with the overall mission, then get into the nitty-gritty of the code setup and the logic that makes it all work. After that, we'll cover the super important GitHub submission process. And then finally, how you can actually check your own work before you hand it in.
All right, section 1, the mission. Your job here is to build a little digital study advisor. I want you to think of it like this. You're taking a bunch of personal study rules and turning them into a function that just gives a simple yes or no. And that's the heart of it right there. One single method. It's going to take a bunch of conditions as input, like the time, if it's quiet, your energy level, and it's just going to spit out a simple Boolean answer. True, it's a good time to study, or false, it's not. Okay, let's jump into section 2 and see how this all gets built. The blueprint. Now, this is a big one. In programming, especially when you've got automated tests grading your work, getting this setup, the naming, the structure exactly right isn't just a suggestion, it's everything. Just take a look at how specific this is. The package has got to be week 1. The class name has to follow this exact format with your first and last name plugged in. And super important, your file needs to land in the src/week1 folder. Oh, and this trips people up all the time. Do not add a main method. The automated tests don't need it. They call your method directly. So that brings us to this idea of a method signature. Think of it like the unique address or, the fingerprint for your method. It's made up of its name, the inputs it expects, we call those parameters, and the kind of output it gives back. If any piece of this is off, even by a single character, the whole system just won't be able to find your code to test it. It'll be invisible. And this is it. This is the exact method signature you have to use. Seriously, getting this perfect is absolutely critical. My advice, don't even try to type it out. Just copy and paste it straight from the assignment doc into your code. Trust me, it'll save you a headache. As you can see, it takes in those 5 key inputs that are going to drive all our decisions. Okay, on to section 3, the fun part, the brains. We've got our skeleton, our blueprint, all set up. Now it's time to actually build the logic that makes this thing tick. We're going to turn those rules from the assignment into a series of if, and else statements. The smartest way to approach this is to handle the deal breakers first. These are the conditions that mean an instant no. There's actually a name for this pattern. It's called a guard clause, and it's super useful. You check for these no-go conditions right at the top to make the rest of your code way simpler. So, is the time valid? Is it quiet? Is it way too early or late? If any of those are a problem, you just return false and you're done. So once you've gotten those instant no's out of the way, then we can look at the good times to study. And you'll see there's a key difference here. On a weekday, the sweet spot is between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. But on the weekend, you've got this much bigger window, from 10 in the morning all the way to 10 at night. But notice, in both situations, the baseline rule is you've got to have energy. But wait, there's a twist, an exception to the rule. This is the deadline exception, and it's really the part of the assignment that tests if you can handle a special case that just throws one of the normal rules right out the window. Yeah, this is where one little variable changes the entire game. If that has deadline tomorrow variable is true, and you're in that special 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. window, then you can study. That whole has energy rule, poof, it's gone. It just gets ignored. Getting this override logic right is a huge part of the assignment. All right, let's talk about section 4, delivery. Because look, writing awesome code is fantastic, but it's only half the job. Submitting it the right way using professional tools like Git and GitHub is just as critical for this assignment. If you don't, it's like the work never happened. So let's break this workflow down step by step. First, you're going to create a new branch, which is like a safe, separate workspace. Then you'll add your file and commit your changes, which is like saving your progress. After you push that branch up to GitHub, you'll open a pull request. A pull request is basically you raising your hand and saying, hey, I've got some new code. Can we add it to the main project? And once you merge it, you're done. Every single step here matters. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important section, checking your work.
You should never submit code just hoping it works. You should know it works. And luckily, the assignment gives you everything you need to test it yourself.
The assignment actually gives you a bunch of test cases to check against. Okay, look at that first one. It's pretty much the perfect weekday study situation. Quiet, got energy, right time, so yeah, that should be true. The second one, that shows the deadline rule in action. No energy, but because there's a deadline, the answer is still true. The third one fails because is quiet is false, an instant deal breaker. And the last one fails because it's 5 a.m., right in the sleep window. Run these through your own code and see if you get the same results.
Okay, so before you hit that submit button, let's run through the final checklist. 1. You need a link to your GitHub repository. 2. We have to be able to see the merged pull request in there. And 3. That Java file has got to be at the exact path shown here. Triple check these 3 things. Seriously, get them right and you're golden.
And that's a wrap on this breakdown. This whole assignment isn't really just about if statements. It's about taking a real-life situation with all its messy rules and turning it into clean, predictable code. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? What other complex, everyday decisions could you break down and automate with code? What to eat, what to wear, which route to take? The possibilities are endless.